Before I get into the meat of this video, I want to state that I don't really enjoy making the videos focusing on the negatives all that much. I'd much rather focus on the good stuff, a fair chunk of which I do have in the works. Problem is, there's one big, overarching problem with Fallout 76 in its current state, and it's actually one I've touched on before, the RNG. Recently we had the Fast Snuck Day event come into the game, and it quickly became apparent that a lot of different masks weren't dropping. A user on Reddit by the name of waffle_cop has been hosting a poll which has had over 750 results at the time of writing. In this poll, users were encouraged to say how many times they had completed the Fast Snuck Day event, and if they had acquired any of the rare masks, those being the Goblin, Jester, Skull, Sun, and Old Man Winter. Out of a total of 9,308 times the community had run the event, there was only a single confirmed instance of somebody getting one of these masks, a Twitter user by the name of Fanta Hootlia, who was lucky enough to get the Sun mask. This would indicate that it's 1 out of 9,308 times that a rare mask has been gained. Now, I will take the time to point out that this is a limited poll, which is likely gathered mostly from a Reddit community, so it's far from the entire statistics, but it still gives a good idea of just how rare some of the masks are. An incredibly rare chance to get what you're after isn't exactly new for this game though. There are a lot of events in the game which have some ultra rare outfits or plans which almost never drop, and I've already made a whole video talking about the legendary system and how the way it works means it's practically impossible to ever get the legendary item you want. The problem with all of these situations is that the reward chance is always 1 out of thousands, sometimes even out of hundreds of thousands of results. I know that Bethesda wants people to play this game for years to come, but the solution for this isn't to make it so you have to repeat the same exact event 1,000 times. People should be wanting to play 76 for the gameplay, the story, or as a social experience with friends, not playing it just to engage in a 1,000-hour grind to unlock a single item they want. Fortunately, there's a simple way Bethesda could fix all of this, and that is to follow the 1% rule. The basics of this are incredibly straightforward. No reward should have less than a 1% chance of occurring. That's it. Literally, that is it. A 1 in 100 chance is still pretty damn rare, but it's actually something you can strive to obtain. Let's show an example of how it could work with the Fast Snucked masks, and I do apologise, I'm going to be saying that word a fair few times, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. So there appear to be 10 masks that could potentially be rewards from this quest. You could of course make each of them a 10% chance to be rewarded, but that doesn't really make any of them stand out as particularly rare. To make things more interesting, let's have a tier system. Toothy Man, Giant, and Witch can all be a 20% chance to be gained as the reward. These will be the common masks. Then we could have Owl and Soldier at 12% as the uncommons. More rare, but still something most people will get if they do the event a few times. Then have the Skull and Sun masks at 6%, the Jester could then be a 3% chance to gain, and finally the Old Man Winter mask could be a 1% chance reward. This obviously keeps the general idea of having certain masks be ones everyone is likely to get, but also makes it so there will be people out there actually getting the rarest of rewards. This example is an easy one to show how the system could work, but there is one problem. The more potential rewards, the harder it is to split up the percentage chance in order to make certain items rare and others common. For most event rewards, this isn't too difficult to sort out, as there's a limited pool of rewards that is rarely in the hundreds for each segment. When it comes to something like legendaries, this system doesn't work in the game as it is though. If you watched my video on the legendary system, then you'll know that specific legendary drops are far less than 1%. Fortunately, there's a method I mentioned in that video that could fix this. The one where each type of enemy has specific types of legendaries that they drop. If you've not watched that video yet, I highly recommend it, as I really break down the problem with RNG in this game on the numbers side, and then suggest ways to improve it. If you want just the basics of what I'm getting at here though, then what I suggested was having certain enemies drop certain items. For example, a legendary Deathclaw would only drop legendary variants of Deathclaw gauntlets, missile launchers, and metal armour. If this was implemented, then there wouldn't be thousands of different legendary options from each legendary kill, and it would instead be drawing from a much more limited pool of items. With a lower limit on what items you could gather, it would be much easier to have powerful weapons, such as a 2-shot explosive weightless handmade rifle, be a 1% chance to obtain, instead of a 0.00003% chance to get your hands on. I really enjoy playing Fallout 76. I think it's a good game, and I find myself defending the game on a near daily basis against people online who are complaining about it without having given it a chance. I'm not making my complaints in order to jump on the hate train or to cause more friction within the Fallout community. I'm talking about this stuff as it's one part of a game that makes me want to stop playing. It really feels like the devs might not know what they're doing when it comes to rarity a lot of the time, as items either seem to be super common or basically impossible to acquire. Because so many things are basically impossible to get, it also has encouraged a lot of players to try and use exploits or consider installing mods in order to make things easier on themselves. Before I progress with this point, I want to say that you shouldn't do this. Do not mod Fallout 76 and don't use glitches, exploits, or anything that can mess things up. This isn't a single player game. It's multiplayer and your actions affect everyone else playing as well. I'm sure we all remember how much of a problem duping was during the first few months of the game, but part of the reason so many people wanted to dupe items is that rare items were so ridiculously rare that people would offer just about anything for them. This kind of desperation isn't something that should be in the game, especially not on the scale it has been at points. Implement the 1% rule and suddenly it becomes possible for people to actually get the items that they want. I really hope that the RNG gets sorted out in this game, as it's something I could see plenty of people quitting the game over. Once you hit the grind of just trying to unlock new items by doing the same few events 100 times over, players will get bored and move on to something else. I know I personally play the game a lot less casually now, as I know I'm probably not going to be able to get any of the rewards I'd like, as it's just rolling a dozen dice hoping for straight sixes. Hopefully with the regular content updates and patches, the devs will implement something to reduce the RNG, and maybe they'll even decide to follow the 1% rule, but at this point I'm not holding out too much hope. I'll just see what new content shows up, enjoy what's added, and not worry about trying to get anything rare anymore. The grind just isn't worth it. I know this has been a bit of a complaint-based video, but I want to thank you for watching regardless of that. There's going to be more positive stuff coming to the channel in the future, so make sure to subscribe for that. If you agreed with the focus of this video, leave a like, and feel free to comment if you've got any ideas for how RNG could be improved within the game. As always, thanks for watching. Sarge out.